Have you ever stopped to think about this? You're doing everything right, taking a medication prescribed by your doctor for a totally legitimate reason. But then you get called in for a workplace drug screen. All of a sudden, you're hit with this incredibly stressful question. What happens if my prescription causes a positive drug test? It's a situation that thousands of people face, and today we are going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what goes down.
So, let's set the scene. Imagine you get a call from HR and they tell you your recent drug test came back positive. Your heart just drops, right? Your mind is racing. Wait, what? I didn't do anything wrong. This has to be a mistake. This isn't just some made-up scenario. It's a real and honestly a surprisingly common situation. So, what really happens next? Do you get fired on the spot? Is your career just over? Let's break it all down.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle that initial wave of panic and get into the science of what a false positive really is. Then, you'll meet the most important person in this whole process, your advocate. From there, we'll zoom out and look at why company policies are so critical for workplace safety. And finally, we'll dive into the most intense scenario, post-accident testing, and how modern tech is completely changing the game.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning. That gut punch moment of shock and confusion when you get a positive result you were not expecting at all. It feels like the system is broken, but the truth is actually a little more complicated and way more interesting.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It seems so unfair. You're trying to take care of your health, following your doctor's orders, but the very system that's supposed to keep people safe might flag you as a risk. So, for real, can your prescription medicine make you fail a drug test?
Oh yeah, the answer is a definite 100% yes. And it's really important we get this term false positive right. See, the test isn't necessarily wrong. It is detecting a chemical compound in your system. The problem is, the structure of some perfectly legal, everyday medications can look almost identical to illicit drugs, which is what fools that first screening test. Let's look at a few examples you'd find in practically anyone's medicine cabinet. You've got your common over-the-counter pain relievers, NSAIDs, or maybe something for acid reflux, like a proton pump inhibitor. Well, believe it or not, these can sometimes cross-react on that initial screen and show up as THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Can you imagine getting that phone call just because you took something for a headache?
And it goes way beyond that. This issue is huge. Millions and millions of people rely on antidepressants every single day. But look at this list. Common prescriptions like trazodone or Zoloft can potentially get flagged as amphetamines, or even something as wild as LSD on an initial screen. It just shows how many innocent people could get caught up in this. The list goes on and on with other meds that can mimic PCP, opioids, and more. It's crazy.
So I've got to ask, is this something you've ever worried about? Maybe you're taking a prescription and you've wondered if it could cause a problem. Or maybe you know someone who's actually been through this. We'd love to hear your story. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get a real conversation going about this.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Your perfectly legal prescription can throw up a giant red flag and it can feel like you're guilty until proven innocent. But, and this is a big but, you are not alone in this. The system has a critical safeguard, a human expert built right into the process to handle this exact situation.
This brings us to a super important point. That first screening test might have been misleading, but that is never, ever the final word, at least not in a properly run testing program. The process doesn't just stop there. In fact, it's just the beginning of the verification step.
And this is where you meet the Medical Review Officer, or MRO. Now, this is not someone from your HR department. An MRO is an independent, licensed doctor who has special training in this stuff. The best way to think of them is like an impartial detective for the drug testing world. Their only job is to figure out if there's a legitimate medical reason for that positive result. They don't work for your company, they don't work for you, they work for the truth. The whole process is designed to protect your privacy, which is awesome. It's completely confidential. First, the lab sends the positive result directly to the MRO. Your boss does not see it yet. Then, the MRO calls you privately to talk. This is your chance to explain any prescriptions you're taking. They'll then do their homework, verifying your prescription with your doctor or pharmacy. Once it's all confirmed, guess what they report to your employer? Negative. That's it. Your private medical history stays private.
Now, I know what you're thinking. What about medical marijuana? The MRO process is exactly the same. They'll verify your prescription. However, and this is a really big however, the final call comes down to your company's drug-free workplace policy. Even if it's legal in your state for medical use, marijuana is still illegal at the federal level. So companies, especially in safety-sensitive jobs, can absolutely have a zero-tolerance policy. The MRO just verifies, the company policy decides.
And that leads us perfectly into the bigger picture. Why do companies even do this? It's not about being nosy or trying to control people's lives. It all comes down to one absolutely critical thing: safety.
This one sentence says it all. The whole point of a drug-free workplace policy isn't to punish people for taking medicine they need. It's to make sure that every single person on the job is fit for duty. And here's the hard truth. Just because a doctor prescribed it doesn't mean it can't impair you.
So many medications, while totally necessary for your health, come with side effects that are just plain dangerous in a work environment. We're talking about slowed reaction times, where a split second can mean the difference between a close call and a catastrophe if you're operating heavy machinery. We're talking about drowsiness when you're behind the wheel of a truck, or just not being able to think clearly in a critical moment. These are real risks that these policies are designed to prevent.
And the difference a clear policy makes is like night and day. Without one, you've just got chaos and confusion. But with a solid drug-free workplace policy, everybody knows the rules, and you build a true culture of safety. This isn't just talk. It's been shown to reduce accidents, boost morale, and protect both the employees and the company. It's really the foundation of a safe operation.
Okay, now let's really turn up the heat. Having a clear safety policy is great, but its real test comes in those chaotic, stressful, high-stakes moments right after a workplace accident. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Just think about how different these two things are. Routine testing, it's planned, it's calm, no big deal. Post-accident testing is the total opposite. It's sudden, it's chaotic. And for industries regulated by the Department of Transportation, or DOT, the rules are non-negotiable. For example, a breath alcohol test has to be done within 8 hours and a drug test within 32. That clock starts ticking the second an accident happens. There's no room for error.
So how on earth do you manage that high-pressure scramble against the clock? I mean, this is where things can easily fall apart, putting a company in serious jeopardy. But this is also where technology is stepping in with a modern solution to a very old problem.
When it comes right down to it, it's all about this one thing. After an accident, your number one enemy is time. You've got to deal with the scene, take care of anyone who's hurt, and get a compliant drug and alcohol test started, often with very little time to spare. Every minute you waste is a minute you can't get back.
And this is the nightmare safety managers live in. Put yourself in their shoes. It's 2 a.m., you're on a remote site, and an accident just happened. You have to find a certified collector to come to you right now. You're making call after call, you have no clue when or even if they'll show up, and you're trying to handle all this paperwork under incredible stress. The old way of doing things just fails in these critical moments. These are the exact weak spots that new patented technology is built to solve.
And this is the game changer. Forget frantically flipping through binders or making desperate phone calls. With a modern solution like the Ready Collect app, a safety manager can solve this crisis right from their phone. Their patented system instantly sends the job to a whole network of certified collectors, and the nearest one is dispatched immediately. And here's the best part. You get real-time geofence tracking. You can actually see the collector on a map and their exact ETA just like you would with Uber. It takes all the guesswork and stress out of the equation. All the reporting is digital, so you avoid errors and you know you're meeting those DOT deadlines. It turns a total scramble into a controlled, compliant process.
So this brings us to the final question, and it's one that every single employer and safety manager needs to ask themselves. It's one thing to have a policy written down in a handbook, but is your plan actually ready for the chaos of a real accident? When everything is on the line and every second counts, is your system built to win? I'd love to know what you think. What's the biggest challenge in responding after an accident? Let me know in the comments.
We really hope this explainer helped clear things up around the super complex but super important world of drug testing and workplace safety. If you found this information valuable and you believe in building smarter, safer workplaces, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Ready Collect channel for more deep dives just like this one. And hey, feel free to share this with anyone you think might find it useful. Thank you so much for watching.